Hi guys, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be talking about 5 things that I do to secure my customer before I've even given them a price. So I don't know about you, but my strategy for the next 2 or 3 years is to play the long game and try and get repeat customers. And you can do that by making a good impression and doing a great job. Rather than just going to the property, doing the job and leaving, I want to build a relationship with that customer. So I know for a fact that next year or in the next 2 years, they're going to return to me. I'm going to be the only person they're thinking about when they want to get their drive pressure washed or their patio cleaned next year. And if you can make a good lasting impression, you can keep those valuable customers, and eventually you'll be able to start turning down work and only taking jobs from those reliable, good paid, friendly customers. And here's how I plan to do it. So the first thing that I think is really important is branding, whether it's sign writing on your van or whether it's having uniform with your logo on it. People like to see that you're an established business, you're smart, you're presentable, and you've been doing it for a while. Some people don't like to have their van sign written because it shows sort of what industry they're in or the sort of tools that they keep in their van. But if you can at least have your logo on your uniform or a cap, the customer knows that that's the industry that you specialize in, rather than being like a builder who occasionally does things like pressure washing or gardening or whatever just to keep the money coming in. This is how you can demonstrate to the customer as you pull up that you've been doing this for a while and you know what you're doing. So the second thing I'd say is really important is when you're approaching the customer is to be very positive, smile, introduce yourself. If you've got a colleague in the van, you get him out of the van as well to introduce him. Because again, you can't build a relationship with a customer if they don't know who you are. I try and avoid those quotes where they ask you to just swing by and measure up while they're out. Because you don't get to have that engagement with the customer. If I want to charge the kind of prices that I do, I want to show the customer who I am, and you can't do that if they're not at the property with you when you go to do the quote. Being enthusiastic and positive is also a big one, just because I don't want someone turning up at my door and telling me how hard the job's going to be, or how there's lots of stuff in the way, or they've got to move things. I don't want to know about any of that sort of stuff because it's just going to make me feel bad after the interaction. So point number 2 is just smile, be happy, be enthusiastic. I struggle with this one occasionally. Sometimes I'll pull up just around the corner from the property. If I've been on my own all day, it's kind of, I've had my headphones on and I'm in this sort of introverted mood, and I have to kind of wake myself up and get myself out of that mood before I approach a customer because they're ready to talk about their property and the stuff that they want doing. And if you're not in that sort of talking mood, it can be quite difficult to engage with them and build a relationship. The third thing that I try and do is to compliment the customer on either their property or their garden, or find something that I really like about maybe their garden furniture, or if they've got a dog, we can talk about the dog. Like, I love pets and animals, and rather than just talking about the job, you can get to know the customer and they can get to know you by finding similar interests. And you can't fake it because they'll see straight through it. But for example, me, if I can see that they've got like a classic car on the drive, or they've got like an interesting pet or a pond in the garden, something like that, I'll always zero in on that first before we even start talking about the job or about the work. And we can sort of build on a common interest from that point. And it makes you more memorable as well, rather than just approaching and being a robot and just focusing on the work at hand. The customer won't see your real personality because you can't shine in that situation. The fourth thing that I'd say was important is to just be honest. If you've not been doing this long, you can let the customer know that you've not been doing it long. If, for example, I've never cleaned in like printed concrete, and when I get that first job, I'm going to explain to the customer that I've never done this before, but this is my first printed concrete job. I'm excited to do it. I've done a lot of research on it, so I know what I'm doing. And if you're lying and pretending you know something that you don't, the customer's going to see straight through it. If they ask you questions, detailed questions about the process, and you don't know, you can just say, look, I've not touched this stuff before, but I'm going to go away, I'm going to do some research, and I'm going to make sure I do a good job for you. If you've just started out, use that to your advantage and just say, look, I've not been in the industry very long. I started my business this long ago. It's going really well so far. You know, I'm kind of nervous going full time and all this sort of stuff. Customers like to see you succeeding and creating something out of nothing. They don't mind if you've not got a huge amount of experience behind you, as long as you're honest with them. The last thing I'd say is to set the customer's expectations. So there's a fine line here between being negative and being realistic. I like to try and explain to the customer that this particular part of the patio is it's been sat under a tree, so it's got lots of algae or black spots or whatever. You can just say, look, I can't guarantee I'm going to get them all off. If you're happy, I'm going to use some chemicals and do my best to get rid of it. And at that point, you've set their expectations. If you've been doing it a while, you kind of know what to expect from each surface anyway. And once you've done the job and you come away, the customer's not left thinking, I wish you'd have told me he couldn't get that up before I'd committed to the price. Other things, like if you can tell the customer takes like a lot of pride in their property, they've got these lovely clean large windows and they've got flowers everywhere and it's all very pretty and very well kept. You've got to let the customer know that it's a messy job. You're going to get probably overspray up the windows. You're going to hose down all the plants and flowers just so that all the dirt doesn't stick to them when you're washing. But if you haven't told the customer any of that, and then they're watching you out the window and you're cleaning and you're getting stuff everywhere, they're going to start to get really nervous. But if you've already pre-warned them about that kind of stuff, they can tell that you're conscientious, they can tell that you've done it before, so you know what you're doing. It really sets their expectations and lets them understand the process. Just yesterday, I quoted a job actually from Google Maps, which I don't like doing, but it was quite a simple one that I could see. I explained to the customer that the nearest drain near your drive is actually further down the road and it's across the street. So my only concern is that I'm going to be cleaning away from the drive. It's going to go into the road and the road's going to get dirty, so I'm going to have to spend quite a while brushing and hosing the road as well. And they just moved into the area, so this is something they're probably quite conscious about. So I use that to my advantage. I can price slightly higher, but I'm explaining why I'm pricing slightly higher, because it's going to take me quite a while to clean up afterwards. So just be honest, set their expectations, let them know what the process looks like. I hope someone's found this useful. These are my 5 tips for securing your customer before you've even given them the price. Thanks for watching.